Hello, hello, Aileen here. It is Friday morning here in Mooshan. I nearly forgot what day we had. It's Friday morning here and it's absolutely beautiful. It's gorgeous. I have my flip flops on for the first time today and I'm just flicking through to see that I'm live in the group here. I'm not seeing yet. If you're joining me, say hello as usual. If you're watching on replay, hashtag replay. Yeah, I can see myself now and I can just see some eyes joining. Um, if you're here with me, please say hello, say hi. Absolutely. It's like the middle of summer here today. So my clothes have changed. I'm wearing much warmer clothes. I have my flip flops on and I'm still really warm. I probably need to take off the denim jacket as well. Um, but here you are. So, whoever's joining me, say hello, say hi. This morning's session is going to be really informal. And really, what I'm going to be talking about is the experience that I had last week, Thursday last week till Monday this week, where I attended a 4-day retreat in the mountains in Spain. Now, this was something actually I had booked way before COVID. I had forgotten about it in a way. And I was obviously in a very different space 2 years ago. But I love retreats, I love experiences. So I still felt, well, if nothing else, it will be, a lovely holiday, it will be a break. It will be something that I can really enjoy. So if you're joining me here this morning, say hello, say hi. I can see that I'm live in the group. Hi, Julia. Julia's saying it's gorgeous in West Yorkshire. Yeah, I heard it's really beautiful in the UK as well. So somehow we seem to be tagging each other, Julia. When the weather is nice in the UK, it seems to also be really nice here. So it was like it went up to 23 yesterday. It's probably 20 or 24 or 25 now. It's 11 a.m. here in Mooshan. It's absolutely beautiful. There's flowers everywhere. Spring is everywhere. And it's just a lovely time of the year here before it gets really warm. So the kids are back cycling to school, which I love. Yay, yay, yay. So who else have I got besides Julia? Say hello. Say hello. So who else here loves retreats? I absolutely love retreats. I have been going to retreats for many, many years now. Um, I one of my first retreats as a personal stylist, I went to Australia. I went to the Philippines, I think, to a retreat. It wasn't a retreat. They used to call it a conference, an AICI conference. I went to a conference in Tampa, Florida, which I absolutely adored. Now, what I loved about retreats was well, number one, it's face to face, so it's a very different experience to meeting somebody online or meeting somebody by telephone or working with somebody through the internet. So you get to meet people face to face and see what they're like, and you can get quite a shock, like. The lady that I was working with after the last 4 days, she's tiny. Somehow she looked really, really tall. In the training that I received from her back then. But when I actually met her, she's a tiny, tiny little woman, and this surprised me. So meeting people face to face, you get a sense of the whole person, you get a sense of what they're like, and it's a completely different experience. So, anyways, I wanted to talk about the three big lessons that I learned on this retreat. I always learn something. But this retreat in particular, I went in kind of thinking, I had booked it 2 years ago. My life had moved on significantly from then. What could I learn, basically? Anyways, the universe has a way of showing us these things, doesn't it? So I actually learned plenty of things. So first up, I left here on a Thursday morning. And I was really all week just a bit stressed out because I didn't know whether I'd be traveling or not. Because my family got COVID again. So my husband got COVID initially, and then a couple of days later, my two sons got COVID. So I was here thinking, oh my God, COVID is going to stop me traveling again. I'm going to have to put off this retreat again. It's just not going to happen. And at this point, I have no option really to postpone it any further. I needed to go. So I was quite stressy all week, wondering, will I be able to go? Won't I be able to go? I really needed, negative tests all around before I felt safe in traveling. So luckily for me, I had negative tests when I was leaving. People were still feeling a bit miserable, but at least there was negative tests, and I never got COVID this time around, which was a blessing, an absolute blessing. So anyway, on the day before, which was a Wednesday, I decided that I could go, and basically, I was looking forward to the retreat, but I was feeling really guilty. I was feeling really guilty leaving Aiden with the two boys. They were out of school for the whole week. I felt that he himself was still recovering from having had COVID. And I felt really guilty leaving the house. I was thinking to myself, the thoughts you have. What kind of mother am I? How could I do this? My place is at home at the moment. There was just massive mommy guilt and wife guilt and all sorts of guilt that, how could I take this time for myself when, my family weren't feeling that well. So I went anyway. But I really wasn't having a very good time because the guilt just wouldn't go away, and it just kind of kept reoccurring, and I kind of felt miserable and low. And really, by the time I actually got to Spain, I wasn't actually feeling that into being at the retreat at all, and I felt um, also the kind of flight was long and torturous because there's not that many flights right now, and it was just a really long day. Like, I left the house in the morning and I didn't get in until all hours that evening. Spain was cloudy, it was raining, and I got to the airport. The car wasn't waiting for me like it was supposed to, and like everything just kind of was spiraling downwards on this retreat. And that kind of played into the guilt as well. Why did you take this time when you should be at home with your family? So that's really the first thing I want to talk to about, this guilt about taking care of ourselves. I had this retreat booked for 2 years. I'm with my family all the time. I take care of my family all the time. This was something I purely booked for myself. And here I was feeling really, really guilty. So, how many of you here have felt guilt at leaving the house and going away and doing something for yourself? How many of you have experienced that? Comment below, let me know. Am I the only one that feels guilt when I leave the house and, take time for myself and take time for my own growth and my own learning, etc.? So anyway, within about a day or two of being there, I realized that going on the retreat was actually the best thing I could have done. Because really, what we were doing in the retreat was we were looking at our life as a whole, and we were determining, what direction are you taking, and is this really the direction that you want to be going in? Are your goals well rounded, or are they just focused on your business, or are they not focused enough on your business? So one of the things that we looked at was our roles, our different roles, and we all have many roles. We're not just entrepreneurs, we're not just business owners, we're not just color consultants. We're moms, we're wives, sometimes we're employers, we're daughters, we're sisters, we're friends. So many different roles in our life. But oftentimes when we're setting goals, we kind of focus them purely on, our or business, or maybe one or two family goals, but don't really look at the bigger picture very often. So it was very, very interesting to look at, my goals as a whole based on the roles in my life. Like, they were just, it was so interesting. So you look at the roles that are in your life, and you also look at your values. What are the values that are most important to you? In your world, we all have, values that are really, really important to us. So for me, for instance, my family is top of the list. It's the number one priority in my life, and hence the guilt for going on the retreat in the first place and leaving them here. So, my family, fairness is really, really important to me. And, contributing is a really important value. So you list your values then. We went through and we listed the values that were really important. So taking these two pieces of information, um, basically the roles that you have and the values that you hold dear to you, I created my 10 most important goals for the year. So it was pretty amazing to see that actually my business goals were way down on the list. There was just one real business goal, and the rest was around my role as a mother, as a wife, as a daughter, as a friend. These were the most important things to me, and making sure that, I was heading in the direction that I wanted to be heading in around these areas. So basically, I created my top 10 goals, and I realized, something really, really important around my younger son. And I had huge realization around how I could help him, because he suffers a lot from knee pains and anxiety. And this has caused us major grief. And you know yourself, when you have a child and they're in pain, you're in pain too. So I was very focused on, well, first of all, it kind of came to the surface that this was, something that was really bothering me and really holding me back in a way. Because that's the other realization that I had, is that, if there's a problem at home, if there's a problem in our relationship, if there's a problem in relationships with friends or family or whatever, that can cause major havoc in our business life as well. Because the problems in those areas, it's they are going to leak over into business. Definitely, if you're not setting boundaries, if you're not having clear work hours, if you're not spending enough time with your family, if you're not, all of those things impact your business, and they impact your business in a big way. But many times entrepreneurs don't realize that. They kind of think that, if I focus 100% on my business and just let that all fall apart, you get your financial goals, you get your business goals, but then you realize there's nobody left around you. And that really isn't very useful for anyone at all. Okay, let me check in the comments and see if any of this is resonating with you guys. Hey, Ilham, great to see you. Is any of what I'm saying making sense to you guys? Is it today I'm kind of freewheeling it a little bit. I have just a couple of bullet points in my journal because I really just wanted to talk to you about the experience. And really how important it is to take the time to look after yourself, and to focus on yourself as a whole person with many different roles and many different responsibilities. And business is just a tiny part of that. And I think sometimes we forget about that. So that was point number one. Point number two was setting boundaries. I've kind of alluded to that already. So one of the things that kind of came to the surface is that I needed actually to set some boundaries. I needed to set some boundaries, but and I mean, I talk about this all the time, and it's very easy for me to see in with my clients that they need to set boundaries. Oftentimes, it's around their client relationship. or sometimes it's like within the family, if somebody's not supporting you or somebody's dragging you down, it's very easy to, look on at somebody else's situation and tell them, you need to set boundaries. But when you set boundaries yourself, it can be really, really painful, because obviously it's going to have an impact in whatever relationship that you have developed, because there is an expectation, a history with the relationship. And oftentimes people can think, this is the way it's going to go on forever. But oftentimes, as you grow, as you progress, as you identify what your values are and what you want in your life and the type of life you want and the type of business that you want, not everyone will want the best for you. This is the reality. And sometimes you have to set boundaries with people and say, look, I don't really want to meet you in that capacity anymore, or I don't want to do that with you anymore. So I'm not saying necessarily dropping friends unless they're very, very negative, but there might be certain, meetings or calls or stuff that you really have to look at and think, is this really serving me? Is this helping me get closer to my goals? Or is this like pulling me down? Is it making me feel bad about myself? Do I feel manipulated? Am I saying yes to things that I don't want to be part of or that I don't really want to do anymore? And then having to have the conversation with the people is really difficult, because there will be consequences. If you change the status quo, if you have the conversation with somebody that, I really don't want to do that. I really don't appreciate those comments you made. Or every time I come off a call with you, I end up feeling really badly about myself. And those conversations need to be had, because if you don't set boundaries, it will just continue in the same vein. And oftentimes it gets worse. So it gets worse. So that will definitely impact your business. That will impact you. It will impact how good you feel. Like running a business and being the best for your family requires you to be, in top form. It requires you to have lots of energy. And if you have, a relationship in your life that's totally draining you of energy, that might be something that you need to look at and then take action around. So that was something I had to do. And I can tell you, it's been really painful. It's been very, very painful. But luckily, I didn't, reverse what I'd done. I kind of kept saying, it's not the end of the relationship. That's not what this is about. It's not about being better than the other person. It's about setting clear boundaries and being okay going forward if the relationship is going to be different. And those kind of actions that we have to take in our relationships, whether it's with a client or whether it's with family or whether it's with a friend, can be extremely painful. But I realized, this had been niggling away in the background for a long time and I hadn't been taking action. So I went and took action. Ilham is saying, so true. I feel that my personal life affects me, which affects my business. It's hard to not let it get to one, but it does for me. Yeah, you're human, Ilham. You're human. Everyone's human. And you can kind of bury it and think that, it's not having an impact. But of course it's having an impact. We're humans having a human experience. And, if we're feeling down in one area of our life, it's going to affect another area in our life. We're going to feel not as inspired to show up. We're not going to feel as confident. We're not going to feel like we want to be visible if we're having a really bad experience in another part of our business. So, one of the things that I learned from the retreat is really we have to focus in all areas of our life and make sure that we're heading in the right direction in all areas of our life. So, overall, we're supporting the life that we eventually want. And that may seem airy-fairy, but it's not as difficult as you think it is. And it's once you have the exercise done, Um, I can put the resource in here at the end. There's a little book. It's called I don't know, Your Best Year Yet. Your Best Year Yet. I have to get the name of it and I'll pop it underneath here. But basically, there's 10 questions that you ask yourself. And from there, you round out the goals that you want for your year. And then it's about evaluating them once a quarter and seeing, is this actually happening the way I intended it to? Are my values still the same? Are my roles still the same? Because oftentimes we can have a goal from, when we had a totally different set of roles. Like, for instance, from before we were a mother, or from before we were an entrepreneur, or before we got married, or before we had children. It's just crazy, like how our life changes as we go through, the different stages, like getting married, having children, having aging parents, moving country. All of these have a massive, massive impact on us, and they should really have a massive impact on our goals. We need to relook and see, are we designing the life of our dreams? Because if we're not, somebody else will. And that is one of my favorite sayings, really, is that we need to design our own life, or somebody else is going to design it for us. Okay, and the last point I wanted to make today is about making a difference. And that oftentimes we can, especially during a time like this, like with what's going on in Ukraine, what's going on in the world with COVID, people's businesses are going under every day. People are losing their jobs. People are feeling really down. People are losing their lives. People are losing loved ones. We can feel like that, we're not making a difference, or that we should be making a bigger difference. And one of the things that I really refocused on during the retreat was how I was making a difference in my own life, in my family's life, in my people around me life, in my clients' life, and refocusing on that. Because sometimes people think, well, I can't really make a difference because I don't have a load of money, or I can't make a difference because I'm in the wrong country, or I can't make a difference because of my life situation. But we can make a difference. We can make a difference in our own lives. We can be happier. We can be more content. That has a massive, massive ripple effect. We can take care of ourselves mentally. We can take care of ourselves physically. We can take care of ourselves financially. That is making a huge, huge difference in the world. That we inspire people to help them to get out of the black hole that they're in. Us getting down there and, feeling guilty and feeling miserable and feeling like we're not enough doesn't help anyone. It doesn't help one other person feel better about themselves. And in actual fact, it often makes the people around us really miserable. And we ourselves then, once we get ourselves into that kind of state, we can't see the options. We can't see how we can improve our own lives, or anyone else's lives for that matter. So all of you who are trained personal stylists, trained image consultants, trained fashion consultants, you have amazing gifts and talents, and you can use those gifts and talents to help your clients and the people around you have a better quality of life. You can help them to get jobs. You can help them to start businesses. You can help them just to feel better about themselves every day, just to improve their lives every day. So you totally can make a difference in your capacity, whether you have no money or you have loads of money. It's not really about money at the end of the day. There are other lots of things you can do with money as well, and I encourage you to do that. If you have money and you can send some relief to Ukraine or to whatever other cause is really important to you. You can make more of a difference with money when you have money. But being miserable and staying down there and focusing on, the misery and the grief is not really going to help anyone. What will help people is help yourself first, put your own oxygen mask on first, take care of yourself physically, emotionally, mentally, take care of yourself financially. Start earning money, bringing in money so you're not a burden on someone else. And then slowly extend that outward in whatever way you can make a difference. But oftentimes people, they kind of neglect themselves, and feel guilty and keep themselves small because of that guilt. They feel that if I'm, but it won't help the other person in any way by you feeling guilty or feeling bad or keeping yourself small. It helps no one. So if I have some people still watching, is this making sense to you? Is this something that you have heard before? Is it something you have thought about? Um, you know, what are your conflicting thoughts about making a difference in the world? Do you feel you make a difference? Do you feel that you should be making more of a difference? Do you feel that you're not gifted enough to make a difference? But my belief is that none of us came in empty-handed, actually. None of us came into this world without gifts and talents. We all have gifts and talents. Oftentimes, we don't think much of those gifts and talents, but actually, we were all given a purpose. We were all given gifts and talents, and it is our duty to get out there and help other people with our gifts and talents. So, on that philosophical note, I'm going to leave it there this morning. I really hope there was something in there to inspire you, to really take a look at your life, at your goals, at your vision, and see, is it really lining up with all of the roles you serve, all of the values that are important to you, and really where you want to get to in your life. So this morning isn't about strategy at all. It's really about taking care of yourself emotionally, taking care of the emotional side of you so that you are in a good place to help other people, so that you're in a good place to fulfill your purpose on this earth. So that's all. I didn't get many comments this morning. I get a lot more participation for the strategy calls. But you know what? The longer I'm in business, the more I believe that 80% of business is how you feel emotionally, how good you feel about yourself, how purpose driven you feel about yourself. So less about the strategy and more about, especially as you move up in your business, you realize it's a mindset game. It's a mindset game. And if you don't truly love yourself and love your role in the world and love the impact that you're making in the world, it's hard to keep going day after day after day in your business. So I am going to finish now. I don't see any other comments in the group right now. So I am going to finish now. And as I said, I really hope there was something in there to inspire you to get out there and share your gifts and your talents that nobody else, absolutely nobody else, I'm spitting at this stage, nobody else has those gifts and talents, and have a brilliant day ahead, have a brilliant weekend ahead, and I will catch up with you all again here in the group next week. Take care, everyone.